Hi, I'm Seth Mosley.
And I'm X O'Connor.
And you're listening to the Full Circle Music Show, the why of the music biz.
Yeah.
And today we've got a great show. We've got in the house Matt Hammitt.
Yeah, just releasing his record this week.
Yeah, incredible. Amazing record, self-titled. Go get it on Amazon, iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, wherever you listen to music.
Yep.
And it features his wife Sarah's debut on a record.
Yeah, both performing and writing.
Yeah.
And the children, too. And
the
your
children.
Your
yeah,
child.
There was children all over it.
Yes.
So
more
his kids were on it, and my daughter actually has the last word on the record. Matt, if you're watching this, thank you. My daughter thanks you. But it's a great record. Go check it out. Matt's been doing just an incredible Facebook Live event series. I think both of us have just learned an absolute ton from doing this, and a lot of our artists really could follow and take some notes from this model of how he's doing it. It's just content after content after content and connecting genuinely.
Connecting with people, yeah.
And that's one of the great things I like from this conversation that we took away is Matt's a guy that doesn't naturally like to self-promote himself. He's not maybe a marketer by nature of what we would traditionally think of as marketers, but he's learned how to craft his messaging in a way that's genuine to him, and really, honestly, a lot of it just comes down to the work ethic.
Yeah, absolutely. He has a great way of just taking what he's doing naturally and just connecting it with people, and that's literally what he's doing. It's so organic, and it just works out great.
Yeah, it's amazing. So check his stuff out. It's at matthammittmusic.com. You can sign up for his email list there. Tons of great tips and information on his events coming up.
Tour dates,
all of that good stuff. So check that out. If you're watching on YouTube, you can hit the subscribe button. That would help us a ton. And if you're listening on iTunes, hit the subscribe button and leave us a rating and review. That helps get the word out.
Yeah, and it lets us know what we're doing and what you guys like and don't like. We're always looking to make it better. We love hearing from you.
Yeah, so we'll jump right into the interview with Matt Hammitt. So we're here.
I just got that. I liked it.
Sync pop.
Just saying.
We're here at Full Circle Music Studios with the man, the myth, the legend, Matt Hammitt.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome,
yes,
my
sir.
friend.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah.
It's been a while, man. We were in the old studio last time I was on the show.
It has been a while, but I've seen you a lot since then, the other room.
Yeah, exactly. This has been a good transition. I actually was just talking to my wife yesterday. I was like, man, when I started on with Full Circle, when you were at the old studio, you didn't have an intern program. The Academy was like kind of just in its early, an idea. Publishing and label and all that stuff was also just kind of in its early vision stages. And so it's crazy to see in just barely over a year where everything has come. It's unbelievable.
You've been a big part of that, and honestly, a lot of our listeners have heard this, but the reason why we started the label and publishing was because really you're poking and prodding us to do so.
I hope you don't hate me for that in the future.
No, it was a great...
The reason we started this label.
It really all came down to Matt Hammitt. It's his fault. And here we are today.
But it did, and I'm so glad we did, because we're like getting a master's degree in really the last 12 months.
Yeah.
I've learned so much.
Yeah,
I'm sure you guys have
I'm the same way.
been right there with me.
Oh, a ton.
But I want to talk a little bit about the journey because you were on last time. But first, I would love an update on your son, Bowen. Can you just fill the audience in on maybe the 5-minute version of his story and then kind of where he's at today?
Absolutely. So, the reason Seth's asking about Bowen is because he has a heart condition called hypoplastic left heart syndrome, and it's about as complicated as it sounds. And he was born with half of a heart 7 years ago, had 2 open heart surgeries, and then ever since it's kind of been just this kind of watching him week to week, month to month to kind of see where he's at progress-wise. I say progress, but it's more like trying to make sure that things aren't declining for his heart. So he is at some point, a candidate for multiple types of surgeries and then also maybe a heart transplant at some point. But right now we just went to the doctor last week, and they gave us a good report that things are steady. There's no decline. So that's, obviously we hope and pray that at some point, like, his condition could actually get better. I think that in ways that may be possible. but as long as we're hanging steady, we're pretty happy.
Yeah. So we've definitely been rooting and praying, and it was great for us to hear that update earlier this week as well. And just honestly, your and Sarah's positivity throughout the process and throughout the journey is really inspiring to all of us. So
oh man,
thank you for
thanks.
Just setting a good example in that.
Oh dude, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but talk about I want to zoom out and talk a little bit about the music side. Last time we talked a lot on the personal side of things, and since you were on the show last time, made a whole record.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
Have really, really kind of launched your conference.
Yeah.
Lead Me Live. Do you want to talk about your journey stepping away from a major label and us kind of figuring out how to navigate this together?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, when Sanctus Real was on Sparrow Records, which at that time was part of the Universal Capital system, it was interesting to watch the music industry changing at that point. We kind of came in when things were like, I guess I really can't say the old system because it's not really the old system yet, but when the system we all knew originally coming into this in our era, was starting to really just get shaken. And so it was interesting over the last couple album cycles with Sparrow, everybody's starting to ask the questions of how people are going to make it in the music business. And you could even see, a lot of the labels scaling down their rosters, focusing more on just the artists that sold a lot of records. And so it was interesting for me at that time. I was naturally making my, I was naturally making a transition anyways, personally, out of the band in life, where I was kind of, my path was walking away from that at that time. And so, I don't know what it would have been like to stick around there. But after I left Capitol, I think it was really interesting to be asking a lot of the questions of where I wanted to be next. And one of the things in particular that just was inspiring to me was working with you, Seth. I could tell from the very beginning, even when we just wrote together, that you were just a guy who, you looked for a good opportunity, you looked for where things were working, and you just went for it. You weren't really ever the kind of guy, I could tell from the very beginning, who was trapped in a certain, okay, we have to do things this way. You were like, hey, if this works, we'll try it. If that works, we'll try it. And you're just willing to plow forward where you see an opportunity or an open door. Whereas some people, I would say, are willing to keep plowing into the wall because that's what somebody kept telling them to do. So I think that was exciting to me to think, well, here's a producer who is writing hit songs. He has all the infrastructure in-house to make great records. I think I started asking myself, why are there so many middlemen everywhere? And I get that it takes a team of people to make things successful. However, for me, even on the publishing side, I was relying on people who weren't technically in the field, in the studio, kind of just reaching out to them, sitting at desks, who are always 1, 2, or 3 degrees away from an opportunity that's actually happening in real life with making music, trying to compete for opportunities on a huge roster of other writers who are they're just trying to get them opportunities to write with or for artists. Yeah. And so whereas you're like, man, you're just making it happen. You're like, oh, hey, I see an opportunity to plug you in. Let's do this. Let's get involved. You're out there on the field, in the battle, per se, just making it happen. And that was so exciting to me because, I can just, I just saw, a exciting partnership possibility there, and I'm so grateful that I was able to start just forging a better relationship with you. And even just personally, I don't know how many people say this, but Seth, dude, I'm going to tell the audience, he literally is just the best dude. That's the thing. He can do
second to X O'Connor.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Dude,
I'm standing next to
this whole
team.
Yeah, right. This whole team's amazing. But David Smallbone said something to me one time that that Seth is able to come up with something very significant in a small amount of time, whereas many people can come up with significant things, but it takes them like a lot more time in the lab per se, which is fine. But you've been gifted with the ability to do certain things that come naturally to you that don't to most. Yeah. And so that's just, man, it's just a privilege to work with you, and then to know that on the same token, you're probably the most humble guy I know. And as a friend, you've meant so much to our family. So it's been incredible.
Make me tear up here.
Oh, come on.
Pass the tissues. Come on.
I know. But man, that's so much a testament to team, though, because there's no way that I would be able to work at the efficiency that we do without guys like X, who
absolutely
come in the process and really kind of I think it's always that analogy of strengths and weaknesses. Like I've always tried to surround myself with people who are better than me at a lot of things. X certainly runs circles around me in production and a lot of areas.
X is a high bar to live up to.
He is.
I'm just saying, man. I mean, I'm
trying to keep up with you guys, so I don't know what you're talking about. We're all pushing each other around up
here.
This
guy keeps pushing the bar higher and higher.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. So you kind of left the label, and the other big thing that's happened since last time is you actually packed up and moved your family to Nashville.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just seeing, so before, when I was touring on the road with Sanctus Real, it was like a way for me to have peace of mind, almost sanity, personally, just with, a family of 4 kids and just helping me prioritize my family when I was home. Because, in Nashville, there's a lot of opportunity all the time, whether it's just business meetings or get-togethers or doing work. And it's all great stuff, but when you're on the road 200 days a year or more, it's like those days at home really count. And so I think it was almost our way of like putting like a shield between us, and the business for our families to protect them. But then once I got off the road with Sanctus Real and I started only doing a fraction of the live events that I was doing with Sanctus Real, it just, I think seeing that you had opened, your arms to the possibility of doing all of what we've done together, even being gracious enough to provide a space for me to write at the studio, just what I think was all confirmation to us that like, hey, you know what, this is time for us and our family to walk through this door, and specifically with with writing and everything we're doing, this is where I think this is where the opportunity is. You really do need you. I mean, you were the biggest part of that. You would always say on your show and even just in personal conversation, like you kind of just need to be where the action is,
Well, it seems like you've thrived down here too, because I mean, I've known you for a while too, and it seems like you're busier than ever, just making it work, man. I love it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I guess I didn't even realize how many people we had down here that we were already close to, and that we'd already done a lot of life with, and then just people that I had a great working relationship with in other ways that we were able to expand on that once I was here. So it's been crazy. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, seeing just the growth. I mean, you've always been an incredible songwriter, but seeing you really dive head first, because there's obviously this artist side, which I want to talk a little more about, but then there's this songwriter side of Matt Hammitt that a lot of our listeners and maybe the industry hasn't even seen the beginning of yet.
Oh man, thanks.
Where you're writing songs and empowering other artists to go take a message out to the front of the stage, and you're in a support role there. But even just to see how many opportunities that were just really a simple introduction on, whether it was Stacy's part or somebody that we made a phone call. You can always make the introduction as a publisher, but the writer has to come in and deliver. And Matt's doing that. Just really proud of you for
Thanks, man.
Man, the hard work you're putting in. And songwriting's a hard thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's because there's a much greater percentage of things that don't work, or that don't take, or that don't get cut, than ones that do.
Yeah.
And over time it fluctuates, but you've just kept your head down, came in every day, and man, how many opportunities have been just kind of a last minute thing, even since we've been working together, like.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy how, I mean, you always said that. You always told me, you're like, once you're here, I can't explain it. Things just happen. They just happen, like last minute, like opportunity just comes. And I've totally seen that where I just get called at the last minute by the most random people sometimes, and it turns out to be this great thing. I mean, just recently there was that opportunity where, one of the guys from Australia from Planet Shakers came in, and it was like, hey, kind of last minute, you want to write? We write, and then, really big artist ends up cutting the song. So it's just crazy. You just don't know what's going to happen, but it's amazing how the opportunity comes.
Yeah, and I know X definitely shares this mentality. We've talked a lot about that, but one of the things that I've appreciated about the culture that we're creating, and really that's just kind of who we are, but it's just being super ultra flexible and just always looking for opportunities to plug in and serve. And I mean, that's what you're doing. So let's talk about the process a little bit, because how has the process this time around been different, working, with Full Circle, making a record, as opposed to, working with a major label? What are the pros? What are the cons? If
totally.
any?
And being a solo artist too.
Yeah, I mean, it is a process of rebuilding. I do like that. It's definitely stretching me mentally and in a lot of different areas to really be aware of everything that's happening. When you're on a major label, there's a lot of like departments that handle a lot of things, and you're really not quite as like personally involved with all of it, because a lot of things are just done by a team of people who that's their job. And whereas here, like, we have people who do things, various things, but we're all really working together through each aspect of it. And even though someone might take, more of the weight in one area, you're still always helping each other. And so it's been really, I think, really great for me to be able to actually see all the behind the scenes that goes into getting an album out. I mean, even just sitting with Stacy and like, helping her with song descriptions for a digital release. It's like, I never wrote my song description before somebody else did.
You know what though? That's pretty amazing though. And I think we're getting back to an era of where people really use this middleman analogy. And it's not to say that having a team is bad. It's great, but I think people want ultimately authenticity.
Yeah, totally.
And they want to know they're hearing from the heart of the artist. So as artists' careers get more and more successful, they build social media teams, they build admin teams to do stuff like that. But I think, honestly, this has been a really close record to you because you've been so involved in all of those minute details of it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I remember telling Sarah, going home after that one day when I was with Stacy, just uploading songs and listening, making sure things were, like the descriptions were right and all that stuff, and just saying, wow, it's crazy. Like, I never even knew that process before.
Yeah.
It was like almost like it didn't even exist to me.
Yeah. And the story's getting told from you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not from somebody that's like, oh, I heard this song and this is a song of inspiration and hope for a dark
totally
day,
Yeah. So I mean, sometimes they're even just like hiring people to write that stuff, and you don't even know it's happening sometimes. You didn't even know the song needed a description for the back end system or whatever. So it's been really good. I enjoy those opportunities to be able to be hands-on. And it's like, we don't just have the out-of-the-box turnkey system yet where you put a album out and it sells X amount of units because you've already built, your all the whatever, like distribution chains and relationships. And there's things that major labels have built over the course of, 30, 40 years plus, whatever, where they have certain things that they've learned to do to sell records. But man, I think it's such an exciting time because those things are turning. Like a lot of those old systems, as we know, and this is an old conversation, I know it's not new, but it remains true that what people have been saying all along about things changing, it's happening faster and faster. And I don't know, it's a really exciting time to be a part of it and to be on the inside of it, I think.
And they always say, no one's going to care more about your project than yourself. And I mean, I know that one thing we really enjoy about, this whole space that we've created here is that we can really dive in with you. And I know on our end of things, up to the mastering day, we're just like small changes here and there, just like, you and Sarah both have thoughts on things, and we're just kind of putting them, trying to put them to work and make the best thing possible for you. And I know when we listen back to mastering, we're like, That's a serious record right here.
Yeah, man.
We're just having a good time right here.
What's amazing to me, even that, like just being here and saying, hey, we need to make this little melody change or little lyric change or this part that Sarah sang or, you know, on the song she did. Just things like that, or Seth having an idea like, hey, it'd be cool if like your kids sang on this right here. Yeah. And 10 minutes later, you're like, come on in here, buddy. Let's fix this up, you know? Yeah. I mean, before it would have been like, when are you in town? And schedule time to go visit the studio. Or
someone just being like, no, it's fine.
Yeah, totally. Or someone just saying, hey,
your record could be out there for forever. And
yeah,
not
that's
have
exactly
that on
right.
That's fine.
That's actually usually more the possibility. So it's been amazing just to be part of this team and like, man, just see you guys getting things done together, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I want to go somewhere that maybe it's a little uncomfortable for you. I hope
that's
you're
all
okay
right.
with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
But what size shoes? No, I'm just joking. Let's talk about this idea of marketing, because I know, again, I'm gonna turn it back to you. You're one of the most humble people that I've ever met, and for people that are humble, they have a hard time with this idea of promotion or marketing, or not feeling like they're being disingenuous.
Yeah.
I think you've been very sensitive to that, and that's why ultimately people need to hear from you, because you're not out trying to proselytize or have some sort of agenda. What are some of the things that you've learned in the past year just on a marketing level? Because I know you guys have just dove pretty headfirst into a lot of different things.
Yeah, I'm learning every day. I mean, we still have these conversations, especially with Stacy. You know, you need to post more. you need to post about this or that. And I'm like, I know, and it's a team effort, you know. So there are days where I do, like you're saying, have to rely on other people. Where I call my management and say, hey, I know I need to post more. Can you just post some of this stuff for me? Typically, that's the stuff that is marketing me, right? That's hard to see myself objectively enough sometimes to market. But I think I'm learning how to use my authentic voice and my message more and more in a way that reaches people through social media, even just beyond just the picture of, you know, my kids or whatever. That's all. Of course, I love posting pictures of my family like everybody else does. But I'm starting slowly but surely to learn on socials, especially, how to use the message and expand the message and deliver it in a way that actually gives people content that they feel is encouraging or beneficial, or, you know, lifting them up in a way that, you know, it feels like you're in essence kind of feeding people something really good for them. I think there's a lot of stuff in the world right now everybody knows that's really negative, and I just think that's fuel for me to just keep feeding the positive.
Yeah, positivity always wins in the long run.
Yeah.
It's that negativity is going to win in the short term. It's, you go on Facebook, it's all negative down your feed, but positivity ultimately is
totally
really shine.
And you know, and trying to just be, like you said, be authentic, even when you're marketing a product. Like, just do your best to. I've been learning to try to like incorporate my core message of who I am in everything I do. That's been a challenge. I'm still trying to do that because I come from a world where I was a singer of a band, and what I was passionate about personally wasn't necessarily the thing that I integrated into our music as a band. It was kind of two separate things. We were a band and I was an individual, and there were band things to post about, and then, you know, when you had a chance, you posted about personal things. Now I'm learning to integrate those two and invite people into the story, and help people see. I'm learning that the music doesn't just have to be standalone from who I am as a person and what I'm passionate about. Yeah. So you guys have helped me a lot, and even Logan, you know, on marketing. I'm learning every day. I still don't have it right, but every day I'm learning more and more how to take those messages and portray them in an authentic way that feeds people positive and content that I don't know. I want it to, like, I don't want it to be empty calories for people. Yeah. Maybe that's the way to put it. Like, I want it to actually be something that is nutrition for them. You know.
Yeah. Well, let's touch on that for a second, because one thing that, you know, we talked about your conference for a minute earlier, and that's something I think I never really realized about you, and I've never really seen a lot of other artists do, is that you do put your songs and your message like into action. Like you literally took your song and created a whole conference for people. And then even just with these Facebook Live events that we've been doing, where you took the concept behind, you know, kind of one of your songs there and just created a series of events out of it. Yeah. And then, but not only that, it's not just you promoting the song. It's about you. Each time we see you on these events, you're sharing, like, you're diving into parts of, you know, your personal life, like the one we just did the other night with you and Sarah, just up there talking about marriage, like taking the theme of the song and just laying it out for everyone, man. It's super inspiring. Have you noticed like a reaction, like with as you're building your audience, you know, as you're getting more comfortable with the social stuff?
Definitely.
Have you noticed like more of a interaction with your fans, or
definitely
just people, you know?
Yeah, I've definitely like started feeling like I'm hitting a stride where I'm learning what is like striking a nerve in people, and what the style of message or how to deliver that message that's hitting people. I think I'm finally starting to see the pattern per se, you know, as I watch what people are responding to post by post. And so slowly but surely I'm learning that, and how to I guess I feel like I've always been really open about my life, but like you said, I'm learning how to channel that into substantial content for people. That's what it is. Because you can be passionate about things, like, but not know how to channel it into substantial content that people care about.
Well, and we all, I think as humans, we all crave connection, you know? And I think that's the beauty of a lot of what you've done, is like you've just created these forums for people to connect, not just, you know, with you as an artist or whatever, but you as a, you know, just a human being. And
thanks, man.
I think it's fantastic, dude. I love it.
Thank you. You know, I'm really inspired just sometimes when I see some of these artists who, you know, when we worked on the Kristene DiMarco record, I see what she's doing right now, which is really cool, and how they really went on Instagram, like dig in more, and they'll not just have a photo, but they'll write something really heartfelt that's really connecting with people. And I see other artists doing that as well, and that's kind of like, that's been inspiring to me too, to watch some other artists who are really good at that, who are giving more than just a little one-liner. And one-liners actually can be really powerful if you take time to craft them. You know, and that's another thing too, is crafting even the little things.
Yeah, every little word.
Yeah,
I've noticed even on myself that there's a reaction that I get in my Instagram and socials are not even half of what yours are, but the thing I've been learning is that descriptions are like almost as important as the picture. Yeah. And if you take the time to craft it, whether it's a long one or a short one or a story, I find that those get the most reaction when you actually take the time to like think about it instead of just haphazardly posting.
Totally. Even with the photos, man, it's like I would honestly say I'd used to just take a quick photo or whatever, and now it's like I really try to think hard about like how I take the photo, and you know, like the lighting and how I edit it and all that stuff. Like I've really tried to take that cue from some people.
You got any tips for our artists out there, or people wanting to get better at Instagram?
Man, well, I remember you and me had that moment where Kristene taught us.
We were sitting in that house together.
Yeah, and she's got like the most remarkable Instagram page, you know.
It's like a magazine.
It's totally a magazine, yeah. She's even like advertising products now on there, you know.
I haven't been on there.
Like I was like, man, she's serious, you know.
Well, you get to a point where you, and not that that's the end goal, but you can totally use that as a forum to advertise things that you're passionate about.
Yeah, totally. And you know, it's like I remember her introducing us to even just a VSCO, you know, and like it's probably photographers out there are probably like, oh, you guys are so, you know, like don't know anything.
I understand. What is it called again for the listeners?
VSCO.
VSCO.
Yeah. Okay. So, and just that it's just such a great app. Like the filters are really great, and the platform's really great. And so, ever since she showed us that, I mean, I've been using it, and definitely like, you know, it's just one little thing, you know, it might not even be the best one out there, but just taking the time to like, okay, I'm not just going to snap a photo and hit upload. I'm actually going to take it and put it through a process of refining it, making it, you know, look good, and then really thinking about what I say.
Yeah, it's intentionality. And as we're celebrating the release week of your record, which is just, again, I'll echo X. We're listening back to the master, it's just an unbelievable project, song after song after song. And one of the things that you did, which I think is pretty innovative in our industry, and give credit where credit's due, X O'Connor has stepped in and essentially learned from scratch how to create these incredible Facebook Live experiences. And the idea really, spawned from Brian Ward, who's just absolutely been a champion in this.
Totally.
Stacy Wilbur's been a big part. Jericho has helped a ton. Logan has helped a ton. It's been very much a team effort.
Yep.
But it's been a pretty incredible thing. And we were just having kind of a viewing party last night upstairs in my house. And we had our movie theater screen set up, and we're watching downstairs, you and your wife here on Facebook Live, which people can still go back on your Facebook page and watch those. I think they really should. Just take some notes of, like, this is high-quality stuff. And you're really connecting with people. So can you talk about a little bit what you did and why you did this Facebook Live series?
Yeah, it was Brian's idea, because he was like, man, I watched the way you connect with people at your conferences. Like, why aren't you doing this on Facebook? And I was like, well, I don't know. That's a good question. And so we just kind of chatted, like, hey, how could we make this happen? And it was really cool, again, when it comes to team, just being part of a team like this, who can say, hey, that's a great idea. Let's just all work together and make it work. And so, me and Brian kind of worked on crafting the content and outlining what each episode would look like and what songs we would highlight. I mean, that was even a decision, too, that I never would have been part of at a major label, was deciding, hey, what songs do we want to highlight on our Facebook Live episodes, and then making those the songs in correlation that we release early. That people can download. And so that was a really neat process to actually be intentional about that. Yeah. But then seeing X jump on, man, and like download all the software for streaming, and
he's like, I'm walking in his room and he's like reading manuals for pro news station broadcast software, making graphics,
dude,
figuring all this stuff out. It's just
what we're here to do, man.
Maybe we just need to start a TV station,
That's
Full Circle Television. That's right.
Full Circle TV. Hey, not a bad idea.
That's right.
That's next year.
I foresee this happening. Yeah,
we're piping it into music schools live.
Yeah. So as we're kind of closing out, one question that we always love to ask is, before getting into this process, just fast forwarding a couple of years before you took that leap, moved your family to Nashville, what advice would you kind of give yourself?
Boy, man, that's a tough one. It's funny because people always say, well, if you went back and did something differently or whatever, what would you do? And I've always kind of approached that. I guess I've always avoided that question. It's like that song Could Have Been, we always ask. But you're right. What advice could I give out of all that? Man, I would say that when you see like an obvious door that's opening, and you're drawn to that place, I think I watch some people who there's a door that's opening, and they let the voices in their own head or their own insecurities just kind of walk right by it. Even though they're kind of like, I think that might be a good door to walk through. It might not be the best looking door to walk through at first, because you don't always know what it looks like on the other side, but you're like, okay, like, I'm not sure what's all behind that door, but you see that it's there and that it's open and it's an opportunity. I've found that a lot of times, like, that's just part of being flexible enough to be able to perceive, like we're talking about. I mean, I didn't intend for this to fall into our conversation earlier, but it kind of is, like, when you're perceptive enough to see, like, hey, here's an opportunity. I'm not going to sit around. It's kind of like the song Could Have Been, honestly, on my album. Like, like, I could sit around forever and worry about whether or not this is the right thing to do, but sometimes you just got to take a step and see, and I will say there have been times in my life where I was too scared to take a step and see. And so I would say to people out there, just, man, take the first step. I mean, if it's something that's positive, obviously, and don't be afraid. A lot of times we're testing the waters. We're so afraid to walk. I like to share this story. that's very familiar, because I think reminding ourselves of familiar things is really good, which is the story of Peter, right, in the Bible, when he's like, he's one of Jesus' disciples, and Jesus shows up out on the water. Peter wants a sign, and Jesus shows up on the water in the middle of a storm, which that's just like Jesus. I'm always like, why can't you just show up somewhere comfortable? Like, I can't just sit down on the couch, next to your disciples and have just an easy conversation about important things.
That's a great question.
You got to show up on the water, like in a storm, and then ask somebody to walk. Okay, so and that's part of what I love about these stories about Jesus, and Peter. He's scared. Like, everybody's scared, and I think most of us, the same thing. We see, we know we're supposed to walk, and we put our foot out of the boat, and we want to it's hot or cold. What's the temperature out there? Can I really do this? And sometimes you just got to fix your eyes on it and walk, man. That's hard.
That's a good word.
So just keep courage, keep faith, and go for it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, Matt, thanks for being here with us again on Full Circle Music Show, and everybody, of course, should go get your record on iTunes, Spotify.
Self-titled,
Amazon,
and my wife is even featured on it.
Your wife is featured on it,
as
are
brand
your
new
kids.
That has never happened before. Yeah, my wife and my kids are featured on the album. My wife even was a co-writer on one of the songs to the finish. So check that one out, especially.
Yeah, and I think I'll sneak this in. I think my daughter made her debut.
That's right.
Appearance.
I almost forgot. Dude, yeah, your daughter is the final word on the album.
The entire record.
She closes the entire album. So yeah, that's in and of itself. You got to check that out. Come on, epic.
She's 3 years old, and it's pretty cute.
It was epic. As soon as we heard her part, we were like, "Dang, that's so good."
Getting started early.
Perfect. Keeping it.
Well, Matt, thanks again for being here with us.
Yeah, man. Come on.
Love you,
cheers,
man.
buddy.
Hi, I'm Seth Mosley.
And I'm X O'Connor.
You've been listening to the Full Circle Music Show, the why of the music biz.
This show is produced by the Full Circle Music Company with editing help from the Full Circle Media team.
It's getting better and better by the week.
The team is growing.
It's growing exponentially. It is. Jinx.
Yep, there it is.
Check us out on social media. We're at official FC Music on all platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Again, head over to iTunes, leave us a good rating and a review. That helps spread the word. The show's growing like crazy. We're hearing just amazing feedback from people. We even got a message from somebody lately saying, this show, I've learned more than my entire college degree.
Oh, wow.
And it's free every week. So
that's me too.
I have too, yeah. Which is half the reason why we do it, because we're learning every time we get to talk to these guys. So that was a great conversation with Matt. Again, check out his new record. It's available on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, anywhere that you get music. And go to his mailing list. It's matthammittmusic.com to sign up and find out just some really cool stuff that's going on behind the scenes in his world. And anything else I'm forgetting?
I think that's everything. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next week.